To calculate probabilities off of a standard normal distribution within the stats calculator, it's actually a lot easier than you might expect. A lot of students see the visual aspect here and get a little bit nervous, but it's really much easier than you might expect. So I have a couple of example problems, and I'll walk you through how to do this just so you have an idea. First off, we need to go into the normal distribution menu. So go under distributions, normal is the first thing that pops up, and it will show you a nice bell curve here. Now there's different modes that you can work with. Area between two values, which works equivalently to how the calculator works. The calculator is always the area between two values. Or you can do an area to the left or an area to the right, just depending on what you're interested in. Calculate area will do an area probability for you, and then calculate x value is sort of like inverse norm, which we haven't learned about yet, but I'll explain in a later video. So for right now, we'll just leave it calculate area. You can use any of these three, and you can set the mean and standard deviation, although for right now, you're only working with standard normal distributions, and so the mean and standard deviation would always be set to 0 and 1. So you can just leave those as the default. Now, looking at this question over here, part A, we have the probability, or we want to find the probability that some value z is less than 1.67. So this z is important because first off, we're told we have a normally distributed set of data. So we're on a normal distribution, and the variable z is important because what it tells me is that my data is on a standard normal distribution, which means the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1. So these values along the x-axis are z values. Okay. Now I want the probability that z is less than 1.67. Well, the middle of the distribution is the mean, which is 0. So 1.67 should be somewhere over here to the right of 0. And if you want values that are less than 1.67, then you want values that are to the left of that number. So we're calculating the area from negative infinity up to 1.67. Now, in order to do this on the stats calculator, the easiest thing to do is first set your mode properly. Like, don't worry about this just always using areas between like the calculator does. Choose if you need an area between or to the left or right first. So I want the area to the left of some value, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this mode. Now, I need my z-score to be set to 1.67, and I could slide this cursor trying to get it at 1.67, but it's kind of hard to get it exactly there. So you can come down to this box and just type that in. So 1.67, when you hit calculate, it will come up in this box with your probability. So this is the total area under the curve. Now notice the visual aspect of this. You didn't have to draw this distribution, and you can visually see that you've got the right answer because this is how you would draw it. You would write in 1.67, so that's approximately where that is. And this is values that are less than that, so we would be shaded to the left. So you're almost guaranteed that you have the correct answer here. Areas to the right, like in part B, are just as easy. Just switch your mode over here to an area to the right. And notice you can't edit this box, it just says positive infinity. So it just knows that it's going to positive infinity for you. And your lower score needs to be negative 0.51, so again, you can try and hit that mark exactly, or just come down to this box and type that in. So negative 0.51, press enter or calculate, and it will come up with your probability for you. And you don't need all these decimals, you can just round to the nearest 3 or 4, whatever the question asks for you. And lastly, we have an area between, and that would be this mode up here. And all you need to do is just type in each one of those values into the boxes, press enter, and then it will give you the probability, which is the area in blue here, that's the probability, and it will calculate that area to give you your answer. So 0.2018. And there you have it. That's all you need to do for the stats calculator.